Um, good evening, everyone. Hello. Okay, welcome. I want to welcome us to our first class of this whole boot camp. Currently, we are just four here, so I'm going to plead with us that we just wait a few more minutes before we start. Just to give a few people benefit of doubt. If let's say 5 more minutes, if no other person joins, then we just go on with the number of people we have here. Okay. So welcome. As I said, we'll be starting the class in about 5 minutes. By 8:05, we'll start, just to wait for others to come in. And please, Bona or Buna, I think the noise is coming from your end. Can you please? Okay, thank you. Okay, so please, just a few minutes for any other person to join. By 8:05, we'll begin. Okay, so good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Victor. I'm a full stack web developer. So I've worked as a web developer for the past 5 years, and I'm still working as a full stack web developer. Although I work mostly with the back end of the web. So I'm basically the lead instructor for the whole of the boot camp, although we'll have instructors for different tracks of this boot camp. So we'll have a separate instructor who will be taking us who will be leading the back end track, a different instructor who will be leading the front end track, and a different instructor who will be leading the UI UX track. So with time, I'm going to introduce our other instructors. But if you pay attention to our different or separate track channels, we will notice that we all have one instructor each in these different channels. So we have Gabi TI here, which is one of the instructors, which will be focusing on back end bit of things. We have Moses, which will be our front end instructor, that will be taking us on all of our front end of things. So yeah, I think for now this is it for the introduction, and I'm sure you must have read through our course for today. So today's class is basically going to be introduction to web development and HTML fundamentals. So for total beginners in web development, we might not have any prior knowledge to HTML, but I will assume that most of us would have like basic knowledge of HTML, because I realize that people that get interest in programming or web dev, the first thing they usually do is go and learn HTML. So yes, if you know, hello. So if we noticed on our course overview, we set out just a day for day one for HTML, and that is because HTML is basically a very straightforward a very straightforward language, and we are going to cover that today. And we'll also, after the class, I also suggest that we all go back to practice more on it and learn further. Then with time, as we build projects, you'll get more and more familiar with these things. So yeah, so the whole of this bootcamp will be focused on web development, as I've already said. And next I'll be talking about setting up our environment. So for those that have not tried anything at all, hello, please, your mic is halfy. Please, your mic is on. Can you mute yourself?
I'm so sorry.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to talk about setting up our environment. Basically, what we need as web developers are two major things to start with, which is going to be our code editor and a web browser. For those practicing web development, the web browser that is most recommended is the Chrome browser. And why Chrome is most recommended for web developers is because Chrome actually supports a lot of web functionalities, because there are a whole lot of functionalities in the web that not all browsers support. Chrome, it does not mean Chrome supports everything, but Chrome supports most of the functionalities or technologies of the web. So now that is for web browser. Secondly, for our code editor, there are many code editors out there. There is the legacy code editor, which is the Notepad++. There is a code editor called Sublime Text. But what we'll be using throughout the whole course of this bootcamp is the code editor called VS Code. The full name is Visual Studio Code. So if you have your laptop, I would advise that we download Visual Studio Code, and I'm also going to take us through the process to download this, so we can follow with it. Download Visual Studio Code, install it on our system, and also start making use of it. So why do I recommend Visual Studio Code? So same with most of the technologies in the web now, same with many other technologies in the web now, Visual Studio Code is basically the most popular text editor out there that most developers make use of, and it has a lot of functionalities that can be added to it. I'm not saying other code editors do not have functionalities, but based on acceptance and majority of people make use of it, there are a whole lot of extensibility that can be added to Visual Studio Code. So throughout this course, we are going to be making use of Visual Studio Code as our code editor. And lastly, before I go on, as I said in our first meeting, we made introduction to web dev as a general class for everybody. So it doesn't matter whether you are a UI designer, front end or back end, you need to understand how the basics of web development. So I think that's all for the introduction. Now I'm going to go on now with with setting up our environment and starting our HTML fundamentals. So first of all, I already have my Chrome browser here, which is what I'm using for this. So the next thing I have to do is to download my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to share my screen now so that we'll move on from here. And also, please, it's an open class. It's an open class, so if and anytime you have a question, you can just unmute yourself and call my attention, ask your question, and I'll be very happy to answer you. So moving on. Can someone please confirm that my screen is visible? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm
I
going
see your
to,
screen.
okay, thank you. So first of all, I'm going to download Visual Studio Code. So to download Visual Studio Code, all you have to do is just type Visual Studio Code, download, and search for it. If you already have it installed, no need to go through all of these processes. So it will, the download link will be the very first link that appears. So you just go in, and you'll see different options for Visual Studio Code. If you are working on a on a Mac OS, you click on this. If you are working on a Windows OS, you click on this. So I'm going to download the Windows version. So you can just see all of the things or what Visual Studio can do. You can read through it if you want to, but I'm just going to go ahead and click start and download. The software is about 73 MB, so it's not so large. 100 naira sub can download it. Okay, so this is just to show us how to download. This is just to show us how to download Visual Studio Code. I already have it installed on my system, so I'm not going to install it again. The only thing is, once you download it, just double click on the file and it installs by itself. As simple as that. So I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code so that you see what it looks like. So after installing Visual Studio Code and you open it up, this is how Visual Studio Code looks like, and this is where we'll be doing all of our coding for this course. So so now I'm going to go ahead to starting with introduction to HTML. So we'll be asking what HTML is actually. So HTML is like the backbone of web development. Is like the structure, is what we use to create the structure of every website. So basically, as long as you're a web developer, everything you're seeing on the web actually stands on HTML. As simple as it is, or as simple as it may seem by the time we go into it, it's like it holds a lot of responsibility, or it's a major factor in web development. So HTML stands for hypertext markup language. HTML itself is not a programming language, but that one is a totally different discussion. So it is something we call a markup language. So it is used specially for creating web pages. HTML is used specifically for creating web pages. So we call HTML the structure of the web. So HTML is what the browser reads and displays your content for you. So I'm going to create our first HTML file so that we see how it is done. So creating an HTML file, we click on this plus file button here. We can name our file anything, but I'm going to name this. Let me name this first.html. So now we have our very first HTML file, and so that we don't forget, if you are creating an HTML file, or if you are creating any file at all, the extension is very important. So it's the extension that determines what type of file it is. So .html shows that this is an HTML file. So here inside our file, we can now write all our basic HTML or HTML code. So every HTML page has its structure. Like, there are necessary things you must add to an HTML page, and the three basic structure of an HTML page is like sectioned with 3 different tags: the HTML tag, the head tag, and the body tag. I'll repeat myself: the HTML tag, the head tag, and the body tag. So I'm going to demonstrate this so that we'll see these things itself. So I've mentioned tags for those that don't know what tag is. So tags are basically what we use to write our HTML code. Everything we do in HTML are enclosed in tags. So I guess with demonstration we understand what tags are. So as I mentioned, the very first tag is the HTML tag itself. So creating a tag in HTML, you have to use the less than and the greater than sign. You open the tag, write HTML, and we close the tag, but the closing tag makes use of slash here. So this is a HTML. This is a HTML tag. Now there are actually 2 types of tags. We have the self-closing tags and container tags, but for now we'll be talking about the container tags. Later as we go on, we'll learn more about self-closing tags, but for basic knowledge, container tags are the ones that have both opening and closing tags. Self-closing tags are those ones that have just one, that can be written as just one tag and you don't have to close them. Something like this is a self-closing tag. It does not have opening and close, just one line. So next I'm going to talk about the second major tag that is needed in an HTML structure, which is the head tag. Open and we close it. Now if we noticed, I created the head tag inside of the HTML tag itself, and this is because everything about your website is enclosed inside the HTML tag. So this HTML tag is like what holds your whole website. Everything about your website will now be done inside your HTML tag. So inside this HTML tag now we have the head section, and we have another one called the body tag. So if you are creating a web page, this will definitely be your starting structure. So the head tag here is where all of the meta data about your website will be stored. What I mean by metadata is like the data that the browser uses, is the data sent to the browser. Like everything inside this head tag will not be shown to the user. Everything inside there is just meant for the browser's consumption. Then everything inside the body tag is what will be displayed to the user on the web page to see. So first of all, I'm just going to start with a very simple head tag so that we understand what I mean here. I'm going to make use of the title tag. I'll open and close it up. So I'm going to write this is a title. So this title tag is what displays at the head of our browser tab. So I'm going to demonstrate this by running or opening up this HTML file on the browser so we can see. So running our HTML file, we just have to open up the file like normally. So I'm just going to go to where I saved it and open it up. So this here is our first.html. So this is the file that we are working on, and if we noticed, nothing is showing on our page. Everything on this place, everything that is meant to show here is what will be written inside that body tag. Then if we look up here at the top of the screen here, we will see this is a title tag. Now that title tag, whatever you write inside of that title tag is what displays here. So if you open up some browsers, you will see some information here. Now this is that title tag that handles this. If you come up to Discord, we would see general classroom here. This general classroom is basically the title of their website, so we can write anything as our web page title and it will display there. So I'm just going to change this and edit it to Devcamp class 1. So I'm going to come over here, refresh the page, and we'll see that it has changed to Devcamp class 1. So there are many other meta tags that can be added to our head, which we can use to customize many things about our web page. Now, most of us, I don't know how many of us have heard about SEO, which is search engine optimization. Most of all those things are also done inside our head tag and all. So next, I'm going to go straight up to our body tag. Now this body tag is what handles everything that is being displayed on the web page. So for example, I'm just going to write a simple text on the page using the p tag. Hello. So if I refresh the page, it shows hello. Now this p tag here is called paragraph. It is our paragraph tag, so it's just used to write paragraphs. So with this now, we are like, I'm pretty sure we're already getting an idea of what tags do and how tags work in HTML. So basically everything you want to display on a page will be with tags. So I'm just going to introduce us to a couple of other tags. So that we would understand, we'll learn more. So this is the paragraph tag. We also have header tags, which is this. So header tags are how do I put it? Header tags are like what you can use to display header information about a section or content in your website. So we have different levels of header tags. We have from level 1 down to 5. So the higher the number, the lesser it displays. So I'm going to use header 2. I would see that it is a bit lesser than the first one. So I'm just going to create another header tag, which is header 3. As you can see, it is lesser and it keeps on reducing. So if we make use of MS Word, we will also see these different sizes of headers. So I'm not going to go through all of the tags in HTML because basically it's just to understand, it's just to know these tags and know what they do. So I'm just going to take us through the major or the tags that I'll be using most of the time. So one of these tags is the p tag, which I've already shown us. The header tags, which are the h1, h2, h3 down to h5. We also have minor other tags like the b tag, which is used to bolding text. So if we enclose this inside the b tag, it's going to bolden the hello world and the hello here. So if you can see, this has now become bold. We also have the I tag, which means italics. So if we enclose this in an I tag, it's just going to give it an italic formatting. So that is it about tags. That is it about tags in in HTML. So there is one other tag I'm now going to introduce us to, which is the doc type. So doc type is a tag. Let me write it down. Doc doc type HTML. So this tag is actually a special tag that was introduced with HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML, which is used to tell the website that, see, please, I think someone's mic is on. If you can please turn it off, thank you. So as I was saying, the doc type here is to tell the browser that, see, this is document type of HTML and is meant to display an HTML5 document. So that is it about the doc types and doc type. So this all of these tags here now, all of these things I've been calling tags can also be referred to as HTML elements. Can also be referred to as HTML elements. So this is an HTML element, the P is an HTML element, the body is an HTML element. So we should also, I would say we should go back and learn about more tags, and learn their uses. So after tags, the next thing I'm going to be talking about now is comments. Comments is a popular context, a popular concept in programming generally, not just web development. So we are always advised and recommended to make comments in our code as we write, and this is because comments help to make our code more readable and understandable, and mostly it is useful both in collaborative work and in personal work. So comments is like when you write some text in your code that the browser does not read. For example, you just want to describe what this line of code here is doing, so you make use of a comment. And how to write a comment, you use the we'll use the less than sign, the greater than, the exclamation mark, dash, which is opening up the comment. Then to close the comment, you use another double dash and greater than sign. Then you write in your text in between this tag. So let's say paragraph to print hello world. So if I run this on the browser, every other thing is going to run, but the browser is going to ignore this line of code because it is a comment. So this comment is basically for the reader of the code. So I'll tell you the advantage of this comment. When you start writing larger amount of code, it can get confusing. So if you comment your code, no matter the time or anytime you come up, you can always understand what different sections of your code do with the comment. And it also helps in collaborative work when someone else comes to your code and is trying to understand what different parts of your code does. By reading the comments, it helps to make things easier and more understandable to them. So this is what comments are about. So next I'm going to be talking about HTML attributes. So we've talked about tags. Now I'm going to be talking about attributes. Each of these tags can be assigned different attributes to them. So for instance, you can do more things to these tags by adding attributes. So there are different types of attributes. We have, for example, we have the class attributes. So for adding the attribute name, for adding an attribute, you have to add the attribute name and the attribute value. So first I'm going to be talking about the class attributes. So writing and making use of an attribute, you have to write the attribute name, as I mentioned, inside the opening tag. If we notice, I'm writing this inside the opening tag. So we write the attribute name, and we put equals to and quotes, then we'll write the value of our attributes inside here. Let's say class 1. So for now, we'll not be making use of this attribute, because that is when we'll be talking about CSS and JavaScript. In CSS and JavaScript, we'll be making use of these attributes to do add more functionality to our code. So I'm just going to run us through some of the attributes we have. So we have the class attributes, we have the ID attributes, and for different tags we have different kind of attributes. So we have other tags like the image tag. Sorry, my Visual Studio Code auto completes the code. So we have the image tag, which is basically to display image on the page. So the image tag, if you remember, I talked about self-closing tag and container tags. The image tag is a self-closing tag, and the image tag now accepts makes use of attributes like source, src, and also makes use of attributes like alt. So what this source and alt means is, okay, this is an image tag, then you put the link of the image and the alternative text of the image inside here. So if you put the link here, you are going to put the link you are going to be putting here will be the link to a particular image you want to display on your page. And what you'll be putting here is like a normal text, which will show in place of the image. Let's say if there is no internet, or if it cannot get the particular image you're looking for. So let's run this and see. As you can see, it's showing a broken image icon here and showing the information I put in the alt attributes. And what this means is it cannot find the image, so instead it's displaying the alt information for us. So this happens maybe because of slow internet, and it cannot load up the image that it's meant to display. It just shows the alternative text for the image instead. So I'm going to just get an image, for example, so that we see how it works. I'm going to download I'm just going to use the link to a random image on the internet. So I make use of unsplash.com to download images for my project. So let me just copy image address, come here to our source, paste this, and let's go back to our page, and we'll see that now is displaying the image. So again, the source takes the link of the particular image you want to display, and alt takes an alternative text just in case it's not able to display the image. So ignore the length of this. When we go further, we'll learn how to add images locally from our code directly. So this is it about attributes. We also have many other attributes in HTML aside the source attribute itself. The image attributes also comes with height attributes, comes with width attributes, and many other attributes that helps us to add more functionality to our code. So I'm just going to talk, I just used a few examples to explain or to make us better understand how what attributes are in HTML. So before I go on, I'm just going to pause a bit to make sure that we are actually following. So I don't know if there is any question so far, or if I'm speaking too fast. You can draw my attention so that I'll slow down, or if there's anything you want to say, you can just say, then I'll continue. So can we all hear me? Does anybody have any questions so far from what I've said? Or
No. Where I got confused is the class and the ID. What does it signify?
okay. Thank you. Does anybody have? I'll answer your question. Does any other person have any question again? So that I'll just answer everything at once and go on. Okay, so I'm going to go on with your question, what you just asked. So I mentioned class and ID as attributes, and as I said, attributes are like what we use to add extra functionality or are extra of functionalities of tags. So this now is meant to add more functionality or more customization to this p tag, but I'm going to explain further what they are themselves. So this class now, class attributes, is like a universal attribute in HTML that is used to group different tags together. So let's look at it as a class of tags. Yes, so if you have multiple tags on your page and you give all those tags the same class attributes, then you can make, or you can write code that will affect that class, and it will affect every single attribute on that page. So this, we'll understand this better when we enter CSS, because mostly we'll be using CSS to, because in CSS these classes will actually be working with. So where we'll give different tags or different elements class names, then we'll use CSS to style those tags. So it just makes it easier for us to use CSS and style our HTML page. Then class itself does basically almost the same thing that class does. The only difference now is a single class name can be given to multiple tags, in the sense that all those tags will now be enclosed in one class. For example, instead of just talking too much, let me just give us an example. If I have another tag here which is h1, I can also give it a class of class 1, and I can have another attribute. A, and give it a class of class 1. So this p element, h1 element, and a element are all class 1 elements. So I can write a code in CSS making reference to class 1, and it will affect all of this. So while class can be used to reference multiple tags, ID is used to reference specific tags. So as the word ID means, it means identification. So this one ID name can only be assigned to one tag. So if we are to add ID to this one now, ID attribute to this one, we'll have to use another ID name, ID2. Now we should understand that giving two tags the same ID name will not cause error on our browser. It will not cause any visible error, but when we start writing code in JavaScript, we understand the importance of assigning single different ID names to different tags. So I think that is the difference between class and ID and what they do actually. So this is just a basic overview of it. Then when we go into CSS, maybe from tomorrow we would understand better how they work. So for now, I don't know if I made any sense so far. The person that asked the question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure, no problem. So next I'm going to be talking about style and colors. So we can style our HTML tags from our page. So styling, when we are talking about styling, we'll talk about changing background color, changing text color, font size, and all of those things. So here I'm going to be talking about styling our HTML tags and coloring our HTML tags. So to make use of style or styling in our HTML tags, we have to make use of the style attributes. So we already understand what attributes are. Helps us to add more functionality to our tags. So to style our HTML tags, we have to make use of the style attributes. So we'll write the style attribute name, then it will now be inside here that we'll now add the styling that we want to do on the particular tag. So the first styling I'm going to show us will be background color. So let's say I want to change the background color of this whole everything that is inside this p tag. Then I will come inside of the style attributes and write background color, then put colon, and now put the actual value for the background color. So let's say red, then close it up. So let us look at this well. Sorry, I spelled this wrong. Style, which is the attribute name, then the attribute the style that I want to give to it, which is background color, then red. So if we come over to our page and refresh it, we would see that this our p tag, now the background has changed to red. So that is us styling. So that is us styling only this p tag. So aside background color, we have another style, which is color, just color itself. So I'm going to remove this background here and leave it as just color. So what this color does basically is to change the text of everything inside this p tag. So I'm going to come over here back, refresh this, and if we see, the whole background is no more red. Instead, just the text itself is now red. So yes, that is it about styling our HTML tags. So for now, this is just to give us basic understanding of styling, the style attribute, and how to style our page. So before I go further, I'm going to talk about this coloring. In VS Code makes it easier for us to actually select color. VS Code comes with an inbuilt color picker. So let's say you don't know the particular color you want to use, plus not all colors have names, you get. So we can just come here and make use of the VS Code color picker, and we can select any color that we want. So also coloring in HTML or in web development generally is done in three different ways. We have the RGB way, which is this format. We have the decimal way, and we have the hexadecimal way. So we can either write our color in this format, which is RGB format. So basically what RGB means is red, green, and blue, because our system or our machines basically see only three colors, which is red, green, and blue. So every other color it produces for us is just a mixture of this red, green, and blue. So we can write our color in the RGB format or in the hexadecimal format, which is like this. We use the hash and we just give values. So this makes use of 6 values. So it's basically still the same thing with RGB, just that the way we now write the RGB values are different, in the sense that these 2 values represent red. The first 2 values represent red, the second 2 values represent green, and the last 2 values represent blue. So 0 means no atom of green color, 0 atom of red, 0 atom of green, and 0 atom of blue. So the more you increase each of these sections, the coloring change. So as I said, first 2 R, second 2 G, and last 2 B. So if I, let's say, make this 999, is going to turn to red because I put the red parts the highest and left the other parts to 0. So I'm going to change this to 00 and change this to 99 also, which is the G part. If you notice, it has turned to green. If I change this to 00 and edit this to 99, it will be blue. If you notice, it has turned to blue. So that is what RGB basically does. So every other color is just a mixture of these numbers basically, and that's giving us a weird color that does not have a name. So yeah, basically that is it about styling. That is it about styling and colors. So next is about formatting. When I was introducing tags to us, I talked about formatting, which is what we use to format text in HTML. I made mention of the B tag, which makes text bold. So I'm going to show it to us here. It makes text bold. We have the I tag, which is called italics tag, which makes text in an italic manner. And we also have other tags like the strong tag. We have the mark tag, so if you can see, italics tag makes it italic. Strong tag does basically the same thing bold does. The mark tag is just like to highlight a text. So all of these tags are what we call formatting, are tags used to format HTML elements in your page. So the things that the edits done on this text are basically called formatting. So next I'm going to be talking about links, HTML links. So linking in HTML is one of the very important concepts we need to understand, because working with web page, linking plays a major role in websites. So linking I'm talking about here is linking pages to another. Like, how do I go from this page to this page in my website? So you can link in 2 different ways: either link to documents, other documents in your website, or you can link to documents outside, or web pages outside your website. So basically they are done in the same way, just that the difference is in the link you make use of. So to link pages in HTML, you have to make use of what we call the A tag, or in full the anchor tag. So to do that, you just have to use A, open and close. So this A tag is used for linking pages. So this A tag is used for linking pages. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a second page here to demonstrate this. Second dot HTML. Since I've already explained the basic structure of a HTML file, I'm just going to show us a simple trick in VS Code to generate the structure for us without having to write everything from scratch. So to generate the structure, you just have to click Shift exclamation mark. Sorry, we just have to, basically Shift exclamation mark, and as you can see, it brings up the whole basic structure for us. So normally what I just do when I create a new file, HTML file, I just click exclamation mark and click enter, and it generates the whole structure of HTML for me, giving me my doc type tag, my HTML tag, it also gives me my basic head and also my empty body tag. So I guess this should be useful for us to save us a lot of time. So this is going to be our second page, and I'm going to create a paragraph tag here and just write second page. So here we are going to now be linking from our first page to our second page using the anchor tag. So now I'm going to write go to second page. So what this means is when someone comes to your page and clicks on go to second page, it's going to take them to our second page. That is what we're trying to do. But just writing this now, the system does not know which particular page you want to go to. So to do that now, we have to make use of what we call the href tag, which is like in full the hyperlink reference tag. So we write href, then equals to. So now we have to put in the link of the page we want to go to. So in this instance now we are trying to go to second.html. So I'm just going to write second.html here, and this is all we need to do. So I'm going to go straight to the browser, refresh so that we can see. So as you can see, we have this go to second page, and if we notice, it's showing in a different color and it's showing underlined, meaning this is how it identifies that okay, this is a link tag. So if you click this, it's going to take you to another page. So let's just come here. If you can see, the cursor has also changed, meaning it's clickable. So once you click this, it takes us to our second page, our second.html. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another link tag here, which will take us back to first.html. So we are going to come over to our second.html page, and I'm going to create another a tag, give it href of second.html, and I'm just going to write here go back. So come back to our browser and refresh this, and we now have our go back link, which is going to we are going back to first.html. So I'm going to refresh this, and once we click this, it's going to take us back to our first page. If we click go to second page, it's going to bring us here. So basically this is how links in websites or web pages work. So this is for linking to internal files. Now what about linking to external files? So it's still the same way, just that if you want to link to external file, you just have to put that particular link here. So in this case, I'm going to make use of google.com as an example. Google.com. So when I refresh and I come here, where am I? Okay, this is on the second page. So if I click this now, it's going to take us to google.com. So this gives us an error because I'll explain why. Linking to external pages, you have to make use of the full URL. Now just typing in google.com will take it as an internal file, and then searching for an internal file named google.com, it will now give you an error that this file could not be accessed because it does not exist. So For us to actually go to google.com, we have to make use of the full URL, which starts with https://. You don't have to cram this, but if you just go to google.com, just going to google.com on your browser and coming here and copying this link. Okay, let me just come here. We will see that it has the full link, just that this part is hidden. So if you just come here, copy this and paste it here, it's still going to give us the full URL, as you can see, https://www. It even comes with www. So when we refresh our page here and try it again, we are supposed to open up google.com. So yes, this is it. This is all about linking. So next I'm supposed to talk about showing images on your web page, which I have already demonstrated initially with this image tag. So displaying images on your web page, you have to make use of the image tag and the link, then also the alt, which is actually optional but necessary. So I've already demonstrated how to make use of image tag. So next I'm going to demonstrate how to make use of how to display videos on your web page. So just the way this image works, displaying videos is the same way, just that we have to make use of the video tag, and video tag is video close, and just have our video opening and closing tags. So now all we have to do here now is to now make use of source. We have another tag inside of the video tag, which is called source. So we create the source, then now use the source attributes. So this is now where we will put our video link. Just like how we have our image link, we'll also put our video link here, and it shows the video shows on our web page. So there is an extra attribute that we can add to this source, which is type. So this type basically is to just like an extra information to the browser that okay, this is going to be an MP4 file or an OGG file, because basically videos have different files. So you can also give the browser extra information that this is be expecting an MP4 file. So that is it for videos. So that is it for video tag. So another way to display videos on your page is to make use of the iframe. So we just create the opening tag for iframe and the closing tag for iframe, and iframe now makes use of source attributes. So if we notice, aside from a tag, the image, the video, even audio makes use of this source to get resources to be displayed. So yeah, basically all of these tags that makes use of external resources and displays on your page all makes use of this source. So in case you start getting confused, what do I use to put image, what do I use to put video, just know that all of them make use of the source attributes. So we just have to put the link of what we want to display, and it's going to show. So aside displaying video, the iframe can also be used to display content of another web page. So if you want to display another web page on your browser or on your website, you can make use of iframe. So I'm going to demonstrate one simple use of iframe to us, which is YouTube. YouTube makes use of iframe, so I'm just going to open up YouTube and demonstrate with a simple video. If it's taking time to load, I might just have to continue. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Okay, so if we opening up this YouTube video, if I click share, and I come on to embed.
Man, working from home is so nice.
Sorry about that. So if I click on share and come here and click embed,
I think I'll just finish early today.
and click on embed, as you can see here, it generates an iframe code for us. So I'm going to copy this. Let me close this up now. Come over to our page and just paste this here. So as you can see, it makes use of the iframe. YouTube has already set the width and the height, then the source. So now this source now is the link to the particular video. So we are going to come to our page now, which is the first .html, and down here we are going to see the YouTube video. So making use of iframe, we can display YouTube videos on our web page. So we are going to be ending the class very soon, because I'm aware that it is late, so we cannot go back and rest. So before I go on, I want to pause again, just in case anyone has any questions, so I can go on. So please, do we have any question? Does anyone have any question?
For the iframe,
Yeah.
for the iframe, is it only for YouTube videos?
So what I was explaining was, iframe is used to display web page or another web page in your own website. So yes, I would say iframe is used mostly to display YouTube videos, but you can use iframe to display web pages also. For instance, aside this YouTube video link, I can add https google.com and refresh this page. Sorry. Let me see. So as I was explaining, it says here google.com refused to connect. So you can also use iframe to display other websites or other web pages on our website. But yeah, to answer your question, most of the time, but not always, most of the time iframe is used to display YouTube videos. So I hope that answers your question. Hello?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, sure. No problem. So the last thing I'm going to be talking about before I give us like a take home, what we can just go back and research on our own, is div and spans. So div and spans are two major tags in HTML that we'll be using most of the time in our whole learning process and development process. So with time sef, div and span will like overtake most of all these other many tags that we have in HTML. So div and spans are container tags. What I mean by container tags is they are tags that are used to segment or section your code in your website. So let's say you have different sections of your website, you can make use of divs and tags. So for example, let me clear all of this. Then the normal structure of a website is usually has header, or sorry, let me say nav, body, footer. So to do this, I'll use div to explain this. Div. So I'm going to use this div now to enclose all of my navigations. So I'll now make use of the a tag and say home, copy this, about, copy this, contact, and let me just say sign in. So yeah, this is what div does. You can also create another div here. Sorry, it's meant to be div, not dir. Create another div here, and which is our body div, and write a bunch of many text. So another trick you can use to generate dummy content on VS Code is to just write lorem and click enter. VS Code is going to like give you a long random text. So here we have this div tag enclosing our navigation, this div tag enclosing body. You can have multiple paragraphs inside of here. Yeah, so this is our body. Then we can have another div tag enclosing our footer. Get so this is basically what div does. Divs are container tags, so they like contain many other attributes inside of them. Span is also a container tag. The only difference now is div is a block tag, while span is an inline tag. Now the difference between block and inline is that block like takes the whole width of the page, while inline just takes the width of its content. So for instance, this div tag will take the whole width of the page, but if I make use of span instead, let me come down here and make use of span. This span is only going to take the width of the content inside of it. So for us to actually see this, I'm going to make use of the style attribute, background color red, to see what I'm talking about. Then I'll come here, also make use of the style attributes and use background color blue. So we'll see the difference. As you can see, this is a div tag which, as I explained, takes the whole page. Then we have the span tag which just takes the width of its content. So that is different between block and inline in HTML. As we move further in web development, we'll be hearing block and inline more often. So yes, this is the difference between block and inline. Block takes the full width, while inline just takes the content of that particular element. So this is where I'm going to wrap up for today, and I hope we are all clear about what was what was taught today. So I'm going to like mention a few things that I would like us to go back and look through. We're also going to post it on the channel just in case we forget, so that we can look through it before we come in tomorrow and continue with with our classes. So first of all, I want us to go and learn about more tags. Hopefully when we come tomorrow's class, let us like learn a few new tags on our own, aside the one that we've talked about today. So that is one. And secondly, I would like us to go and learn, like just browse. Google is our friend as developers, so I'd like us to go and browse about HTML lists and tables. HTML lists and tables. So these things maybe what will come again for our next class. I'd like us to talk about this briefly, like collectively, and so that this class becomes interactive, so that I'm not going to talk every time, only me. It becomes better that way. So yeah, before I finally close up, do we have any questions or confusion? If not, we can just call it a day and we'll continue in our next class.
The class is scheduled for every day.
No, it's meant to be 3 times a week.
What day, sorry?
So for this first week, since it's meant to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but for this first week, we are going to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, which is today, tomorrow, and okay, sorry, we are going to do it today, Thursday, and on Friday. Today, Thursday, and on Friday. Then next week it might change. But we'll inform us before then, or maybe we would all decide on the days for subsequent weeks. But for this week, it's going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any other question? Can go on. Okay, so
thank you very much.
Yeah, sure, you're welcome. I want to thank everybody for attending. Also, before we go, I want to ask, this is a very crucial question, Sha. At least let those of us here make some input. Is the time 8 p.m. too late, or is it convenient for us? Do we change the time for the classes?
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, in my own opinion, my name is Kazim. Yeah, in my
Okay.
own opinion, I think 8 p.m. is very okay. It's good for me.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. And does anybody have any other counter or supporting opinion?
8 p.m. is okay. 8 p.m. is okay. It's just like how long the class will take.
Okay, yeah, I understand how frustrating long classes can take, because once class have passed 1 hour or highest 1 hour 30 minutes, I'll stop paying attention. So I understand that, and we are mindful of not making our classes long, so that everybody will pay attention. So highest 1 hour 30 minutes, but we'll try not to make it pass. So I think that is okay, huh?
Yeah.
All right then. Okay, so thank you everybody for attending. Our next class will be on Thursday. So I'll be expecting to see everybody on Thursday. Thank you all, and do have a good night.
Good.
Yeah.